The IRS wants to enforce tax on cryptocurrencies to fund Biden's trillion-dollar infrastructure plan. The crypto advocates hate it. Will this hurt financial innovation in the U.S.? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. The U.S. Senate just passed a $1 trillion infrastructure bill. The money's got to come from somewhere. Unfortunately, the Tooth Fairy won't leave any cash for President Biden's dentures. He tried, and that's why lawmakers have secretly slipped in a plan to enforce a tax on cryptocurrency. That's right, it's not a standalone bill like, hey, we want to regulate crypto now so we can tax it, and people can support or oppose that bill. No. It's being tucked away in an almost unrelated bill that's more than 2,000 pages long. More than 2,000 pages. For context, the average Bible is only 1,200 pages. And as I know from 7 years of Catholic school, with that many pages, most people don't actually read it. Also, like the Bible, the infrastructure bill will go through many rounds of changes by lots of different interest groups and eventually become law. And the government tucked the crypto plan in there in hopes of raising a whopping $28 billion? That's it? That's less than 3% of the money needed for the infrastructure bill. So barely a drop in the bucket. This is like trying to raise money to buy a Mercedes by opening a lemonade stand. But crypto advocates say the $28 billion tax enforcement plan poses an imminent threat to the crypto industry. I'll get to that later, but first, it may not even be so easy to enforce taxes on cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency includes things like Bitcoin and Ethereum, plus possibly less serious ones like Dogecoin, and the incredibly serious ones like Chappellcoin. It's totally legit. Don't know why my landlord won't accept it for rent. Cryptocurrencies work using decentralized systems. Basically, instead of using banks or a government, they're run by thousands or even millions of computers around the world. With Bitcoin, for example, a lot of these computers belong to everyday people, called miners. Miners can make a small amount of Bitcoin in exchange for using their computers to verify transactions. The important thing is, cryptocurrencies use what's called blockchain technology. It's almost impossible to hack or manipulate. That's how people can trust their value. And it also makes it hard to trace who owns the cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency's decentralized financial system and its blockchain transactions don't tie information to an individual, but rather to the series of transactions that came before. Thus, cryptocurrency marketplaces do not easily allow for the collection and reporting of information on users. So if cryptocurrency doesn't tie transactions to individuals, it's hard to tax individuals who are using it. That being said, you are already supposed to pay taxes on crypto. Like if you bought one Bitcoin for $10,000 and sold it at $60,000, you would have made a profit of $50,000. You're supposed to report that, just like if you had capital gains from selling stocks that went up. It's just hard for the IRS to enforce because they can't easily track what you do with Bitcoin, except for transactions you make through Coinbase or one of the other exchanges. And that's why a former IRS commissioner claims the IRS is losing billions of dollars every year to tax evasion from cryptocurrency users. It's not clear whether it's really that much. I mean, you're not going to make billions of dollars by taxing people who use Dogecoin, except maybe Elon Musk. Now, just because this retired IRS guy is 80 years old doesn't mean he doesn't understand how cryptocurrency works. I barely understand cryptocurrency, and I'm slightly younger than 80. But whoever tried to slip the crypto tax stuff into the infrastructure bill definitely doesn't understand how it works, because it's done really, really badly. I'll explain how after the break. Welcome back. The Biden administration wants to enforce taxes on cryptocurrency activity. Whereas I think it's better to tax guys at parties who corner you and talk about Bitcoin for 90 minutes. You're already supposed to pay taxes on crypto, at least in theory. The Senate bill doesn't increase those taxes, it just requires more reporting, so it's harder for people to evade taxes. As things stand, investors must disclose virtual currency activity in their tax return through Form 1099-B, the form used for reporting stock gains or losses. But cryptocurrency brokers are exempt from this. But the text in the infrastructure bill intends to not exempt brokers. In fact, it aims to expand the definition of a broker to more people who are involved in crypto transactions, even if you or I might not consider that person a traditional broker. According to the new Senate bill, a broker is any person who is responsible for regularly providing any service effectuating transfers of digital assets on behalf of another person. Here's an analogy if trading crypto were like trading stocks. You trade stocks online through Charles Schwab. That's your broker, and they have to report your transactions to the IRS. But language in the bill expands the definition of broker so much that now, not only would Charles Schwab be responsible for reporting your transactions to the IRS, but so would your Firefox browser you use to access their website. So would Apple, which made your laptop, and so would your internet service provider Spectrum, which, let's be honest, is barely even facilitating a good internet connection most of the time. Now apply that to crypto. Practically everyone within a 3-mile radius of you would be required to report that you earned an extra $2 last quarter trading Dennis Rodman's Potcoin. Yeah, this is definitely going to help fund that infrastructure bill. It can't even fund Dennis Rodman. Anyway, the Senate bill's definition of crypto broker is so broad it could include wallet developers and miners. Wallet developers create apps that allow cryptocurrency users to store and retrieve digital assets. Miners are the ones who confirm and verify blockchain transactions in exchange for a small amount of that cryptocurrency. And the people that collect these digital coins are just plumbers. And while the bill's definition of broker might be more straightforward in a traditional corner of finance, it could force cryptocurrency developers, companies, and even anyone mining digital currencies to somehow collect and report information on users, something that by design isn't even possible in a decentralized financial system. It isn't even possible because with Bitcoin, for example, the only transaction information that's recorded is the sender's Bitcoin address, the recipient's Bitcoin address, and the amount. There's no way to change that. And if you did, it wouldn't be Bitcoin. Like I said, the bill is written really badly. It requires something that's not even technically possible, like finding a word that rhymes with orange, sneezing with your eyes open, or having a meaningful relationship with a Japanese body pillow. And in a ham-fisted attempt to enforce the reporting, the government could just cause more problems. More after the break. Welcome back. The government's attempts to supposedly rein in tax evasion from cryptocurrency trading through the current Senate bill could actually just create more problems.
There are a number of concerns about this bill from the chamber and from many others in the industry because it would extend these information reporting requirements to people in different types of entities who have no way to comply with this requirement. And if that were to happen, if we do not get the clarity we are asking for, it could have devastating impacts on the growth of this ecosystem in the US.
You don't need to have systems in place to report on crypto users. You can tell if someone is into crypto just by looking at them. U.S. Senator Mike Lee says the bill that calls everyone a broker and forces them to report transactions will actually stifle crypto innovation and make Americans poorer. It will make Americans poorer? Wow. So we will all be broker. Sorry, roll the clip.
How exactly will additional revenue reporting generate new tax revenue? And how can you possibly apply stock exchange-style reporting requirements to something so different and so decentralized as Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and other blockchain-based cryptocurrencies? At best, this revenue gimmick will fail. At worst, it will hamper financial innovation for decades to come.
Even Twitter's CEO is weighing in. He says forcing reporting rules on software and hardware developers is an impossible ask that will only drive development and operation of this critical technology outside the US. Cayman Islands coin, anyone? So what should we do? There were several proposals to amend the language in the bill. Unfortunately, none of them made it into the final bill. But they show how Congress could fix this issue later. One was proposed by Democratic Senator Ron Wyden and Republicans Pat Toomey and Cynthia Lummis. Their amendment says that only those persons who conduct transactions on exchanges where consumers buy, sell, and trade digital assets would be required to report to the IRS. Like Coinbase. Their amendment explicitly excludes miners and developers. No word on if it excludes plumbers, though. But while most transactions are made using Coinbase and similar exchanges, it's still possible to go around that system. Senator Ted Cruz was one of many people who said the crypto provision should have been completely taken out of the infrastructure bill. They argue that we need more time to figure out how we would tax cryptocurrency. And I need more time to figure out why Whopper coin, hot potato coin, and Coinye are real things that actually exist. There's a possibility that the House of Representatives could fix the cryptocurrency language when they pass their version of the infrastructure bill. But even if they don't, the new laws aren't likely to go into effect until 2023, which could give Congress enough time to figure out what they're doing. Maybe. There are lots of technical reasons, which I won't get into, why even figuring out how to tax crypto transactions is incredibly complicated. It can't be done quite like capital gains tax for stocks. One thing tax enforcement would require is for the government to be able to track all your transactions. That's why, according to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, a digital rights nonprofit, this infrastructure bill is also a disaster for digital privacy. If the federal government wants to track crypto transactions, it would require new surveillance on users. Oh, wait, maybe the crypto tax isn't actually about raising money. Looks like the government's new crypto is going to be SpyCoin. So what do you think? Is this really about taxes, or is it about control and surveillance? Leave your comments below. And if you like getting your news outside the mainstream media, please support our work. Visit americauncovered.tv/support to learn how you can contribute through Patreon, PayPal, or Bitcoin. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.